All right. So what we have here is this should not have snuck up on you if you read the newsletters, but guess what next week is?
That would be the end of September. We can start with that.
That is correct.
Get a little closer to it.
What what more importantly are we heading up on here?
Let's see, taxes. Taxes are due.
Oh yeah, definitely
15.
taxes.
Yeah, yeah. What else? What else could there be? Do we have much time left in the year?
Fourth quarter, people. Yes, we have next month is Cybertober or
Yeah.
Cybersecurity Month. So you can see you're going to see a lot of advertisements and pushes on the internet around scary things out there that are going to destroy your businesses. So you can leverage that to start doing your what should have been some NIST preparation you've been doing for the quarter three, and selling of cybersecurity packages. But more to my point is that while you're doing these cybersecurity packages and you're pushing out the NIST audits, you should be getting ready to do your annual reviews for especially your big hitter customers, where you're going to walk in with a professional presentation and have a conversation about what projects you want to do next year in 2022. You want to get this in front of them now before they do their budget requests. Now, some of your smaller clients, they're very ad hoc. They're month to month on their budgets. It's not that big of a deal in fourth quarter. But for your big clients, your big spenders, now's when they get approval. And so you want to be first to the table. If you're especially going to have a big ask, a big migration project or something big that's going on, you want to get them in front of them in October. Like, hey, this is how much we want to spend in 2022. We want to increase our spend, or we want to do these three projects in 2022. We want to revamp your wireless. We want to move that data closet over to another area, or design you an actual data center because you're getting big enough for one now. But you have to pitch those now, because if you end up being the last project to get picked, then you're like, oh, we're out of money for 2022.
Out of money. Yeah.
We'll just squeeze you and we'll maintain status quo for a little longer.
Well, even our smaller customers, it certainly doesn't happen often, but some of those smaller guys, every once in a while, for whatever reason, will come up, and it's high time for a technology refresh, right? Something needs to be done. They have a new project, they've been putting it off, whatever. Gee, something was going on last year. I don't really remember what. Maybe a little bit started 2020. I don't know, but they decided to hold on to cash or whatever, and they didn't, spend on things that they should have. So now they have created some tech debt, and Adam and I have talked about that before. But they're going to have to write a big check, is what I'm getting at. And to really drop that on those guys, their whatever expires, April of 2022, to wait until March 15th of 2022 and go, oh, hey, by the way, I need you to write a check that's equal to all the money that you spent on technology last year combined. That's just not, that's not the best exercise. So getting into these conversations now, letting your clients understand, hey, you've got this big expense coming up. You didn't pay on this the last couple of years. The bill is coming due. And as you continue to have those conversations and talk to them, once you get to that point, they're like, yeah, I guess now I need to write the check. All right. And so the result may be the same. All right. But your perception from your clients about how you're helping them with their cash expenditures, just their general cash flow, how you're being a part of their business and help them find solutions, is really going to redefine how your organization is perceived. So, it's just, these conversations need to happen sooner than later, and now's the time.
Yeah. So you need to pull if you're doing the four pillars, you need to pull the four audits together and you need to show how your clients or how your client's IT is doing and then why you're recommending this project. And what's nice is, especially if you have nonprofits who rely a lot on grants,
Yes.
they may say, "Oh, that's awesome. We have a number." So maybe March, for instance, a lot of the schools I used to work with, March was their deadline for grant proposals for some of the bigger organizations. And so they knew they could walk in with this proposal like, "Hey, if I get all these Chromebooks and we upgrade our wireless, kids will be able to learn better." Okay, here's $80,000. And that's how their grant process works. They may be a poor school, but their donors are not. And the donors are how they do projects. So getting this stuff in front of them so they can start doing their asks is great. Or for your for-profit clients, letting them know like, "Hey, let me show you where you are in architecture service risk. And here's our strategy for getting your company to be more competitive next year by giving you better access to wireless or better work from home software, or go on down the list." So you have to pull your audits together, distill them down to how is this going to improve their business, not just how are you going to make things shinier, but how are you going to improve their business. And then the number one thing that most people mess up on is schedule this out like a month. Don't schedule it next week. Schedule it out like a month. Say, "Hey, October 16th, we're going to meet. Does that sound good for you guys? I'm going to come at 10. I'll bring some donuts. And I want to go over how we're going to help your company grow in 2022. And if you schedule it out a month, you might be able to get some of those key stakeholders in there. Key stakeholders have busy schedules. So if you say, "Hey, when can we get people in so we can talk to them about how we're going to drive your business next year?" So you got to schedule these out. Schedule your big clients first, and your big the clients you're going to have big projects with first, and then move on to the smaller ones. So go through Skip's little schedule of A, B, C, D clients and kind of work in and schedule them out. And if you don't get to the C and the D clients, it's no big deal. But you want to get your bigger clients lined up now. Be the first to the table, the first one with your hand out saying, "Hey, here's how I'm going to help you grow." First one with a plan. And then you will have a higher likelihood of being chosen as the person who gets the project increases this year.
Well, and to kind of set some expectations here too. So these meetings sometimes, they're never one topic, one size fits all sort of meetings. Okay, we're going to do almost always a variety of things, at least a small handful of things in these sort of engagements. And part of that may be a little bit more, goal setting or, understanding their KPIs. Where do we need to take this? So if we're walking through architecture services and risk, we've identified elements. Now we really need to align those things to what's important in their business. And to be honest, and to be reasonable here, you probably don't have the best answer on that. You may have some opinions and some ideas. A lot of it may be well-founded, but you need to have the conversation about these things with your clients so that they can be part of the solution. And this is critical. Once you get your clients involved in these conversations and build in these plans, it becomes, again, much less of a presentation, much less of a quote you're trying to sell them on, and more of a process that you're partnering with them on so they understand, "Hey, yeah, we've talked about this. I know there's some needs. We need to take care of this, because if we do this, then our company is going to be better. We're going to get better market share. We're going to, cut our costs, whatever it is." And that process isn't going to happen in one quick hour-long meeting. Right? It's going to take a little bit of time. So we sometimes, I think, like these big strategic sounding goals and initiatives, and we want to, schedule that meeting, pull the big lever, run the giant report, walk in and do it all. And reality is going to set in and tell us, it doesn't happen that way. But we can, we make a lot of progress towards some of those features. But you're going to have these conversations. And it may be that these coming conversations that you have throughout, Q4 really sets the stage for you to walk in Q1 and say, per our conversation last time, here's the details and what we need to do. That's when the client's going to look over there and go, whew, yeah, and that's a lot. Okay, when can you start? And so, but to get to that point, you got to start with these conversations.
Yeah, and that's the core of what we do here. That's one of our differentiators as MSPL and or managed services platform and humanized IT is that we start with the conversation. And it works for me. It worked for us as we were primarily a VCIO firm before we moved into the software realm of trying to teach other people how to do this. Is having that candid conversation with clients really lands bigger deals. I know because we were landing deals of like $30,000 a month as just a small shop, and so that was all from just having good conversations about how we can help people out. We were pursuing and working on $450,000 projects with school systems and helping them design out game-changing things just because we were having good conversations with people. And this is with us as a small company. This is 5 years ago. So you can do this even more if you guys are able to get these conversations scheduled and get in the room. Now, you guys, some of you have an uphill battle because traditionally you've just gone in and talked about tactical things. You talked about firewall upgrades, you talked about PCs, and your client is expecting that. They're expecting to come in and talk about PC upgrades and tickets and how far behind you are and things again. Make this year different. We all had great years in the last 12 to 16 months. And so a lot of your clients are looking for change. They're looking for what's next. Give them that confidence and move forward. And so that's why you got to schedule these things. Don't wait until December. Don't wait till November. October. November is a bad holiday month. December is a horrible holiday month.
Yes.
October is our last good month.
Yes.
Without people taking a million vacations.
Yep.
So that's why I'm driving October. That's why for the past 6 months, I've been hitting on October is when you need to do things. It's your last good chance. And if you've been preparing all year long, we've been following an HIT game plan since January. And we are now in the thick of it. And so if you've been following what we've been saying, and if you've been filling out the pillars like we told you to over the past 6 months, or since January, I should say, so the past 10 months now, if you can have followed that, you are ready to do the next step. And the next step is for you to, let me make it big for you guys.
Well, while you bring that up, let me comment on something you said, Adam. The engagement where we shift gears, where we can get into that strategic mode. I hear you guys talk about that in our coaching sessions all the time. It's probably almost one of those guaranteed discussion points that come up when we have new members coming onto the platform. And I have personal experience in that as well. Okay, so there's my qualifier opening there. Having that shift from the technical, tactical, ticket-based sort of stuff. I got my 3 T's in there again. Having that shift in that conversation over to a real strategic partner is not a clear shift. It's not just like we can flip a bit. It's not a light switch, all right? Because it's skills and operational excellence that we have to take on as the MSP, and it's perception and context and understanding from our client side. So let me let you off the hook here, and you're not going to show up and be Mr. MBA, business analysis technical guy right out of the box. Okay, you're going to have to build up to that, and your clients are going to have to work with you on that. And some of your clients are going to be a lot easier to make that shift than others. And in fact, you'll probably have some that you never shift into that mode with. Those are challenging. It's a whole nother conversation. We'll leave that for another time. All right. But so build some flexibility in. I said earlier, when we have these conversations, rarely ever do we sit down with one thing on the agenda, right? And that one thing being strategic. It's almost always a variety of things, but that agenda can really help. And so you sit down, you have all the normal things that you're talking about, tickets, invoices, whatever. But before that, put a new agenda item on there and say, hey, I want to really make sure that we're aligning our technology to meet your goals. Let's do a quick exercise. Maybe you jump into a SWOT, maybe a 2Q, maybe anything. There's plenty of ways to just talk about their business. And many times, if you'll think about your engagements, you've done this before, but it's been ad hoc and you had no perhaps structure or repeatable process to do that. What we're encouraging you is to make sure you have that structure, make sure you have that framework so that you can scale this up and repeat it across all your clients.
Yes. And so having yourself transitioned into the conversation is where you should be right now. You should be prepared, or your account managers should be prepared for a good conversation. That's why we have the dashboard, or if you don't have the dashboard, this is why we have the reports, is that it's distilled down and helping you have the conversation. And so quarterly, you should be delivering these things so your clients are ready to have strategic conversations. And so by now, what you did was you filled out architecture. This was Q1 for you. Gone through and make sure that all the software and PCs and licensing is done and audited. You should be doing that in your first quarter. Then you're moving into your service quarter, which is Q2, where you're going through and you're making sure that you have 24/7 service in place, that make sure you're supporting them in the right ways. Q3, here we are, cybersecurity month. That's your risk pillar. You should have audited the risks for your clients this last quarter. And that way, when you walk in the door in 3 to 4 weeks, your strategy pillar is already done. You can already tell them we're going to do all these things. So we'll have marked off the architecture audit. We'll have marked off the service audit. We will have done the risk audit. And then now we need to hold the strategy meeting. And then you're going to see these things increase on the strategy. So when you end the year, you're ending the year in this really good place. And you're like, hey, we had a great 2021. However, our service delivery is still a little under where we want you to be. We really need you to be at 90% for your service if you want to be a well-functioning organization. So that means you're 44% under. Here's how we're going to get you there. We really need to upgrade these things. Our engineers have recommended you upgrade these things. I think 2022 is the time to get your service up into the area where we need it. And yes, some of your, like Bob, is going to probably ask the question, what about the ITCQ? The ITCQ is showing like, hey, your average competitor for your client is sitting at 35%. So yes, you are above average right now. However, you want to be best in class. And this is how we're going to get you best in class, is we're going to move you up here. We believe by getting these things in place, your teachers, your employees, and whoever else is working there are going to feel much more comfortable. They're going to feel a lot more supported by the business and the administration. And so when we're having this fourth quarter conversation and you're talking about these things, you're going to attract the CEO in. You're going to attract the CFO, the decision makers, because they're like, oh my gosh, this is really good. And if you need to tease them, go ahead and take a screenshot of this and say, hey, we're going to show this new dashboard and we're going to be asking you guys, what does it look like to have a successful technology portfolio enabling you to compete better in your marketplace? And then they're like, oh, I really want to hear about that. That's interesting. Feel free to quote me on that. We're going to come in and we're going to discuss this. We're not going to sit down and talk about firewalls and stuff. We're going to talk about where are you compared to where we think you should be, and what projects are going to get you to that score. And that's your strategic conversation for Q4. This will sell projects because now you're making it simple for them. Sorry.
And yeah, so setting expectations going into these meetings as you begin to definitely do what Adam said. Don't book that meeting out for next week. Book it out a little bit further in advance, and kind of put some teasers out there, send them some follow-ups. Hey, I want to make sure we understand, what you guys are planning on doing with your new field office, in Timbuktu or whatever. And maybe, setting some expectations that you're going to ask them some questions. And those questions aren't going to be, centered around how many characters in your password configurations, right? It's questions about their business. And I've heard this from several people. One of our most recent members, he had his first strategic meeting using the tool. Let's see, was it last week or week before? I'm losing track of time. Anyway, he said his client was just thoroughly impressed. I mean, it changed the perspective because he went in there and asked questions that he had not normally asked. And they said, yeah, this is different than what we normally talk about. Yes, it is. But here's the great thing that I've been telling everybody too. Once you get over the hump and you get that first engagement going, the next time you ask them for a strategic meeting, you're going to get a willing CEO to show up in that. No one's going to be dragging them down the hallway, trying to lock them in the conference room for these conversations, because you're talking about the business, what's important to them. So, kind of a follow-up on that. Once you gain that respect, once you gain that level of, interest, be careful with that. All right. So in the next meeting, just kind of, cast a little bit further game plan out there. In the next meeting, the CE shows up, make sure you got an agenda there. Make sure the CEO knows, hey, we've got a few strategic conversation pieces, but then after this, we're going operational, we're going tactical. And setting that expectation for the CEO so they know when they need to get involved and when they don't necessarily need to be involved. Because again, listening to you guys, our own experiences in our client environments, we know that strategic level engagement from the clients is what's going to make or break these, but just getting attendance in that can be really, really challenging. So
that's a good point to make there, Skip, is that when you're doing your three other pillars, architecture, service, and risk, those are largely tactical decisions. There's going to be largely tactical conversations. This fourth quarter strategy pillar, that is the one where we say, hey, you know what, CEOs, I know you're giving us $40,000 a month or $20,000 a month, whatever a big whale is for you. Say, hey, you know what, you guys don't have to attend any of the other QBRs. This one you attend, and we'll show you how we're going to use technology to drive business. And it's also a chance for you as the CEO to ask us questions. Hey, what do you think about Zoom? What do you think about Teams? What do you think about technologies for working from home? What are we missing? Like, oh, I see. So you're doing a work from home initiative with your user base. Well, let me tell you what I think. Like, in order to do that properly, here are the technologies we need to be thinking about for projects. And while you're in there, you're hitting that plus button on the dashboard, adding projects, saying, let me research those and get the bid back to you. Because we can definitely get you an IP telephony system in place.
Killing me.
Telephony.
There we go.
I was going to say it correctly. Skip is killed by
shrivel up inside every time he does that. And he knows it too.
I was going to say it correctly and I go, wait, I could go for the wrong way. Anyway, so you're in there with the CEO and now you're solving problems for him or her. And you're sitting there with strategy in this strategy session going, here, let me solve those. And then, oh, look, we can go ahead and make sure that gets implemented during our architecture pillar review period. Well, and then we'll ensure that the serviceability is there as well. And so they have this easy conversation and it's once a year and they know that, oh, I can attend that meeting every November. I will show up and I will be in that room knowing that's a minimal time commitment and a massive impact to my company. And you can show them, hey, you know what, you get those new telephones in, you get that new VoIP system in, that's going to increase your architecture score. That's going to increase your service score. Because now we have things we can do. We're making your workplace better. And then your strategic score is going to be even better because now you've met with the CEO. You have met and done some of these things that are going to increase your client engagement score for those of you guys that use that module. So For those of you guys are using the dashboard, the beta did start Monday. So, I'm going to be using it pretty regularly in these weekly meetings. But this is a time when you can use that, what my marketing team calls a cape, to make yourself look really good in a strategic presentation in Q4. So we are in beta right now. If you want early access, you just got to switch over to one of the new plans, and you will get access if you request it. Otherwise, starting October 1st, this dashboard to help empower your QBRs is going to be available for all essentials and higher users. So if you want to check that out, reach out to Skip, reach out to Miles, and we'll get you on a new plan. They're basically roughly the same cost as the old plans, and we structured them that way. The reason you need access to the new plans is because you have to have access to all of the modules and the features the developers made. So it is pretty rigid right now. So it's a turnkey. It works really well. And I highly recommend you guys start using this to differentiate yourself. There's been some really interesting pre-sales for end-of-year sales ideas coming out of the new dashboard. So one of the concepts is using the ITCQ score to show that their incumbent MSP is underperforming. So taking one of our reports, squishing it down to like 5 core questions. And it's like, hey, is your current MSP doing this for you? Or are they doing this? Like a little grader, if you guys remember the graders. And then showing like, hey, look, you guys are underscoring. You're not scoring correctly on architecture, service, or risk. And you have 0 on strategy. So working with us, we're going to get you to a target score of 92%. We're going to get you to these higher scores. And they're using that for pre-sales. That's one of the concepts that's out there in beta right now. So if you'd like to try this out, if you'd like to do things like that, reach out to us and we'll get you in the queue for the beta test. If not, next week, or actually October 4th, the Monday after, is when we will exit beta and everything will be ready to go for all essentials and higher users. And this will land you new clients. It will attract CEOs into the room. They like shiny things. And this dashboard is specifically designed to appeal to CEOs and decision makers. So here we are. Q4 is a week away. Got any final advice there, Skip?
Yeah, let me a bit of a challenge. So I'm looking over attendee list. I know, we get, some people listening to this, the recording after the fact, and are people showing up. So we get a variety of range here. And I think sometimes I tend to talk to those that are a little bit lower on the maturity level on this, new members to the platform and stuff like that. But I know we've got some of you guys that are doing some of this really well. All right. You've got the operational maturity. You've already got these strategic components built in, or some of you, looking again at this list, some of you've got just, strategic whizzes, all right, in your environment, and someone who can just walk in and specifically, we've got, I've heard reports of, businesses calling your strategic partners, go, hey, I want to ask you about some strategy stuff. Right. So lots of great things happening in some of your environments, but I want to ask you a really serious question here. Can you scale it? All right. Is it just a person? Is it, something you've just kind of fallen into, or do you have an intentional, scalable plan to roll this out to every new client that signs up, to fill in all the gaps for the clients that you're missing? So for those of you at the upper end of the maturity level on this, take a look at your scalability here. What tool are you using? Maybe you want to evaluate doing it a different way. Maybe you schedule a couple of meetings and, you schedule 3 of them out, and each one you intentionally plan on showing up and doing it a little different way so that you can experiment with what works for your organization. This is a great time to not only dive deep into your businesses, your clients' businesses, but dive into yours, grow this so this process makes you better in 2022 than you were in 2021.
Yep. As we have said internally in our teams, make what you do today look like crap tomorrow.
There you go. There you go.
So you may be an amazing MSP, and you need to continually improve so your clients feel that. And that's part of the core of what MSPL has always done, is show like how you're improving over time, taking those snapshots and showing last year versus this year, and continually making yourself better. This dashboard isn't intended to add any work to your day. It's intended to make money and build you a better reputation with your clients, so that when somebody else walks in, they look like crap, you look awesome. And that's where we're heading here. You already are a great MSP. Now you need to scale yourself and allow yourself to grow as fast as your clients do. So adding more work and adding really complicated processes isn't scalable. Adding a simple 4-pillar approach to auditing and making sure your clients are on track, that is scalable. You can do that 100 times a day, and it doesn't add any work on. It adds just a little bit of upfront work done, and then you're done. So if you have any questions, reach out. If you want in the beta, reach out. We are here for you. We're excited about this. We have a lot of people stepping in for the beta. And so I want to make sure you guys get on the list. Yeah. So if you went on the new dashboard, you just need to, so I think for a lot of people on this call, it's a lateral, you know, because you are HIT subscribers. So we just need to reach out to Skip or Miles, and we'll get you on one of the new programs. Sorry, just answering a question there. Yeah, so for those of you who are in the HIT program, most likely you'll move over to Elite, right, Skip? Skip's muted.
Skip has a noisy keyboard.
So do I. You're the one who told me to buy this keyboard.
I know. I love it. You just got to hit the mute button all the time.
The expert package. Yeah, the expert package is what most of you in the HIT program will move over to. Elite is better because you get the CES scores, but just one of those plans. You can look on our page right now, and you can see what you would lateral over to. Being loyal customers will probably just give you a coupon or something to make sure that everything's kosher.
Yep.
But that'll give you onto the new permissions, and it'll make sure everything gets applied to you. So if you have any trouble getting a hold of Miles, reach out to me. I think I could probably muddle through it. Miles is a lot faster than I am. So
I'm not going to try to break it. So.
And if everybody could move to an annual plan, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah. That'd be...
Adam hates doing month ends. All right. So yeah, while you're switching plans, move over to annual while you're at it. Make me happy. All right. It'll save you money, and it'll make me happy. It's a win-win. Win for everybody except for Skip. It's because he doesn't have to do the month ends like me.
All good.
I'm gonna start making you do the month end finance reports.
Oh.
Why do I have to do it?
So yeah, we can. Yeah, I'll do that. We'll just roll in an annual process.
All right. Speaking of things where the CEO does not want to be involved.
There we go. All
right. Guys, attract your people to your quarterlies. Get those strategy sessions scheduled out. Next week, we're going to hit hardcore on how to run those strategy sessions. So we'll see you then.
See you.